Hey, let me just move my camera down for a second, all right? All right.
Absolutely.
Only because this will look a little better, a little bit better looking. I want that. There was a glare in the background I noticed. I wanted to get it
Absolutely.
off there.
Well, we are live now, and I'm very excited. And it's been a while. I followed this man for a very long time. He's a legend in the industry from Fox Sports Radio and Wisecracks, professional sports better, Mr. Bill Krackomberger. You can follow Bill on X at Bill Crackman. And this segment is brought to you by Circus Sports. For the best NFL contest in all the land, please visit circusports.com/contest for over 16 million in guaranteed prizes. Bill, here we are, my man. Like about a week left and the NFL kicks off. How the heck you doing?
Betting up until showtime. Literally up until you said we were going to be recording. I actually texted and said I'll be a minute late because I was betting an NFL future. I say future or season win over under. I was betting one at Westgate on my app. I wanted to get it in before we came on, and I wanted to dedicate some time to you. So no problem. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And yeah, if I can give out a couple nuggets of wisdom, whether it's betting, whether it's types of betting, or anything you have on schedule here on tap, I'll be happy to help everyone if I can.
Well, absolutely, man. I've been following you for many years now, and you always come up with the most interesting stuff. I say you got the best stories in the industry, and I mean, I'd be sitting here for hours if we're going over. It's just like a tiny little pinprick of the stories that you have out of Vegas, Jersey, and just all the big places in your life. You know how it's been for all these years, man. But man, here we are. You know, it's an NFL season. Why don't you tell our listeners how long you've been in the industry? How long you've been?
Well, good. Thanks. Thanks for following me there. You're right. It all started on the Jersey Shore. Well, it probably started back in New York and New Jersey with, and actually started with those little parlay cards. I don't know if you know what they are.
Yep.
There were these tickets back in the 80s. The 80s? Who am I kidding? They were in the 70s, but maybe even before. But I remember getting them in the early 80s as a little, 12-year-old kid, 10-year-old kid. And literally they would have a little section, you'd tear it off and you could bet 3 teams and up on parlays. And they were big sucker bets. They would pay, they would take 25-50% out of the real payouts. But that's how it started for me, really, was sports betting wise on NFL and stuff. But if I knew what I knew now, of course, now I get thrown out for betting parlay cards because the cards come out Wednesday night. They're printed. Matter of fact, every sports book in America used to have them. They realize now that they're better off just betting parlays off the board, and people come in and just bet parlays instead of the rogue numbers that have been sitting there since Wednesday night, and now it's Sunday, 10 a.m. or 1 p.m. East Coast time, getting ready to be kicked off. The lines move 3-4 points, and not a lot of them, but some of them move even 1 or 2, even 1 point. Around 3 or 7, mathematically, you're better off parlaying a couple of them together, and you could turn the odds around on the sports books. And like I said, if I knew that back then, I would have probably been in trouble back then with the boys, because that's who controlled those tickets back east. It wasn't a Fortune 500 company after all. But yeah, so it's a rite of passage. I grew up with my mother's family. They're Italian. They're gamblers. My uncle Jimmy was a gambler, and he corrupted my dad, a hardworking, guy from West Virginia, a physical, hardworking guy, tough, brittle hands. Him and his brother. My dad was corrupted's a strong word. I love my Uncle Jimmy. I'm not saying that. Just, they were all. It was all like Yonkers at night. Yonkers to Monmouth to Atlantic City to Garden State Racetrack. It was DGen Central growing up, and it was just living week to week, and you're living just to gamble. And unfortunately, it's still going on today. It's still going on, Kiev, in a lot of people's lives. It still goes on, and it's a sickness. It really is a cycle. It's almost like when you're broke, the pressure's off. Now I could sleep. Like it really is. It's like, oh, the pressure's off now. Oh, thank God I can watch some TV. I have no money burning a hole in your pocket. That's what it was known as back then. But even around the house, our parents didn't know. They didn't know that, playing. My mother and the girls, my aunts, they used to play like Continental, which is a form of gin rummy, or a couple board games where the men played pinochle and the men played poker, and it was just like every weekend that was the things to do. But then again, there wasn't a lot of things to do like now in the late 70s, early 80s. There wasn't things to do. You went bowling, or you played maybe softball, or now gambling is so socially acceptable that you go to Yankee Stadium, left field, center field, right field. There's all sports books out there. You go to the stadiums and the football stadiums, and DraftKings sponsored, FanDuel sponsored. It doesn't matter which sports book it is. They're all out there. I'm not picking on any sports book. I'm more picking on the people that maybe legalized it a little bit. Now, what I say by that is it's so acceptable now. 10, 11, 12-year-old kids in the stands. Daddy, what's that? Oh, I can look at that. I can look at their lines. I can look. Oh, there's a line to it. And, how do we expect these kids that are 20, 21 years old that are actually playing on the field not to get a little bit corrupted by it? So we're only humans. We're only humans. We're only human nature. But to go back to what I said, that was growing up at my house. Thanksgiving, after the kids went to bed, the cards broke out, and they had games back then. Everyone gambled. Like I said, it was a rite of passage. I grew up on a boardwalk town, Kingsburg, New Jersey, Jersey Shore, exit 117 on the Parkway. I grew up on that beach town. I went to school there. I went to high school there, and we gambled. Everything was gambling, whether it was pitching quarters against the wall or it was flipping coins in wood shop, getting the coins taken away, and poker games in our garage playing head-to-head blackjack. But from a young age, pretty fortunate. I had a good mentor in my cousin Anthony, who was very smart, a Fordham grad, very intelligent guy, and he knew about card counting, about implied pot odds in poker. He taught me a lot of skill sets needed, but I still didn't have that skill set of bankroll management, and I still didn't have that skill set of chasing. And that was still the human nature. I'm, 10, 11, 12 years old. I started when I was 9 on that boardwalk. At nighttime, there was gambling on the boardwalk. If my parents only knew it went on at 9, 10, 11 years old. There was a lot of gambling growing on that boardwalk when we closed I worked in the pizza stand of my cousin. And, you have to go through those pitfalls, though. I don't know anyone to come out and just say, I'm a winner. Everyone has to lose and has to check different things and different methods. And that's why even when someone comes to me and says, oh, I got this, I'm doing great, Crack, I've been winning all year, I need a back-tested method. I need something that's historical over many simulations over the years. So
absolutely. What you just said right there, I mean, doesn't that make guys like you and even me over the years, when you see how many of these sports look at us and insult us in ways, you feel a little vindicated, it's like, because we were, doing this, especially you, maybe even twice as long as me, we're looked at as degenerates, they'll call us names and stuff. And now they're freaking advertising it, Crack. I mean, it's like, do we get a freaking apology, guys? Come on.
Yeah. If you were a sports bettor back then, and you bet sports, they would automatically think you were a degenerate. And let me be blunt. We probably were. I probably was until I was like, 17, 18. Not even, yeah. I mean, up until my early 20s, until I met someone really that changed my life in Atlantic City. But I already knew about blackjack card counting and about poker. And some of my initial bankrolls in the late 90s were made with poker, with the art of bluffing and the art of people just didn't think about these kind of things until, I don't know what year Moneymaker won. That was the big year, though, in poker. But yeah, and rounders came out, and they didn't realize this could be a living. People make a living doing this stuff. So, but I'm totally out of the poker game. I can't even sit down. I can't even watch them on TV. I get sick.
It's too time consuming too. Yeah, it's way oversaturated, but sports betting isn't. And it's getting that way, but it's growing, but it's not even in every state. But what's more important right now to us is talking to some of the newer people out there, and you even mentioned one is bankroll management. What are the most common mistakes that new bettors are making when approaching these early NFL weeks?
No one bets. Now that you're putting early NFL weeks into it, that's even a bigger spin. I was going to say no one bets percentage of bankroll. And let me just tell you something. Even where I'm from, listen, even my friends back east, even though they know I make a living betting sports, they're real big opinionists. You know what I mean? They're real big. Is that a word? Opinionists. That should be their business card. It should be a guy. I would make up a card for them guys. A guy laying in a hammock with his feet up, saying Joe Blow opinionist. That's what they do. They're opinionists. A few of them are still living home with their moms. So I understand that, especially guys in the Bronx and stuff. But they have opinions. They have opinions on everything. Experts on everything. EOEs. That's what I call them. EOEs. Experts on everything. And you really have to have bankroll management, though. You can have the best info in the world. I really think I have some of the best in the world, and I know what happens. So, there's the chase factor is number one. Chasing. If there's games on Saturday and Sunday, and you're betting your games, and you lose for the day, everyone has action on that Sunday night NFL game on TV. And guess what? Even if you win for the day, it's a sickness. They have to have action on the game. And that's the reason why the sports books are in business, though. They know the human condition. They know exactly the mindset of the gambler, of the human gambler, and what we go through. And I just know that that's very hard. Like I said, my guys back east, if they have $1,000 and you're supposed to bet 20 grocery dollars, by the way, that's what you're supposed to bet, 20 to 30 grocery dollars a game, I'll even give them a little leeway and say they could bet 50 a game. No way. If they like 3 games, $333 to bet on all 3 games. And they may look to give that extra bean away somewhere and bet $334 on the other one, because they like to have no money in their pocket at all. Every dollar in action, and going to the water fountain for a drink of water. I mean, no, it's a sickness. It really is. I get it.
Absolutely.
I try to put them off of that. And there are some guys that learn from me. There are some guys that bet every single thing I say. And I'm not saying that there aren't other people like me. There's better people than me. I'll be real blunt. There's better people than me that are the guys that are unknown, that aren't in sports betting media. Some geniuses, I call them bugs, that aren't in media and don't want to talk about their methods, their the value of 3 and maybe some certain kind of teasers and that kind of stuff, which I see is your next subject, though. But there is pitfalls for a lot of people, and I definitely get it. You know what? You won't even believe this, Kiev. If anyone comes to me now and says, "Crack, what can I do right? I'm just starting out. I have this and that," I tell them, "Don't do it. Don't do it." When I started, there was giant bonuses. That was a big portion of me making money. I would send money to different sports books. They'd match the offers.
Sure, I remember those.
They're few and far between. I just seen today there was a sports book that had 100% bonus up to $1,000 going on. With a 10-time rollover. Like, that's a good deal. But that used to be every day, common deal everywhere. But they were even bigger than that. And with these big companies, the DraftKings and FanDuels, they have their own sports betting host. They're from the casino industry, so they're used to buying business. There's still those type of bonuses out there, not for guys like me, but there's still bonuses out there where if you deposit, 10 grand, they'll give you an extra $2,500. There's still that going on, and that's a big portion of you making money. So unless you have those contacts or know those names, it's very tough for someone to come in, especially week 1 here, when everyone's like, I got to get in action. I get so excited. I got to get in action. I know what happens to people. So I actually, shockingly, probably, I wouldn't recommend no one to get into professional sports betting.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough grind, and it's like you need a lot of different hats to wear. Really, it's not most professional sports bettors do something else. Maybe they rent out houses. Maybe they own properties, rent them out. But the truth is that it's an absolute grind. You're going to find yourself spending 80 hours a week on it. I totally agree with that. And, that kind of fed into my next question. What's some of the common mistakes that a little bit seasoned bettors make, and they spend a lot of time on something, and even some of the seasoned bettors will chase. Sometimes people don't get enough opinions. I think having a sharp circle is always good to do. Make sure, when you're making that play, if you're serious about making money, you want to make sure you're on the right side. If you have friends that kind of, in the business for a long time and understand it, you respect their opinion, maybe get a little bit of a consensus and Crack. I don't know anybody more, I guess, connected than you are.
Yeah. You have to be connected, and there's not a lot of guys I do respect, to be honest with you. So I know who moves numbers. I know who gets CLV, which is closing line value. I know who wins. So I do have some great contacts in the industry. And I try to hang around with them guys because, and my strength comes in where I have, lots of money in apps in town here, and I can, I have pretty good limits. I mean, I just destroyed the preseason, destroyed.
Nice.
Sports books here were very, very good to me, and like there's limits. There's only so much limits you can get, but I have some good sports books here, and I have some bad sports books here. I'm allowed to play at Wynn, Circa, Westgate, South Point. I really can't go any further than that. No, but I mean, imagine the other ones, the other 5, I can't.
Yeah, William Hill. Yeah,
limit you to nothing. William Hill's ridiculous. They're scared to death. Stations throws you out if you have a pulse. Boyd throws you out if you make a bet over $50 and win. I can go on and on. These places, Treasure Island. Oh boy, I think I think I go in there, arrest me on spot. I think I'm trespassed. No, just for using my. By the way, all these places just for using my brain. I'm not doing nothing illegal. Just using your brain. So that's why I recommend putting your money at these first 4 I said, rather than the ones that are throwing me out and stuff.
100%. No, that's some great advice. Well, let's talk about NFL teasers. You mentioned it. What are your thoughts on NFL teasers? Should you do them week 1? How should they be played? And do you also use them as a hedging tool?
Hedging tool, no, there's no hedging in my life. There's very little hedging. I just want to see, I took a shot at the Donruss screen, my odds screen before I left. Just want to see Cincinnati before I came on here. 9.5. Okay, so you can still do a 7-point teaser. So, I mean, do I like doing teasers? I used to love doing teasers when I used to lay $1.15 in the late 90s on a 7-point teaser. Then they went to $1.30, which is probably the right number they should charge. Well, now in this town, they're up to $1.50. I even see someone charge $1.60, one of these new ones to the country. I can't beat $1.40. I'll be honest with you. I can't beat $1.40 teasers, and I get the best info in the world. And they're basic strategy teasers. Like I was just looking at Cincinnati, so playing home against New England. This just so happens this year. I'm pro Burrow. I like Cincinnati a little bit. Not enough to bet them to win anything serious, but I do like them. And I'm really against New England. So I went under on season wins. I went under 3.5 plus 300 the other day on season wins on them, taking 3-1 at Circa, and for a large amount, for a max bet. And so I kind of like them in a teaser. I just don't know who with who. So you have to have 2 teams with basic strategy, going through the numbers, the key numbers of 7 and 3. So 9 points going down to, Circa has 9 on Cincinnati right now. So taking it down through the key numbers of 7 and 3, taking it down to -2 at home, basically just having to win a game by a field goal or more. But I don't have another team to play with them, so I'll probably pass on that. Teasers are tougher to beat than they used to be too. It's not like it was years ago. There's, teams go for 2 points now. Analytics came into the game. The extra point got moved back to, more yardage now. It's 10 more yards. So years ago. So it's not like it was. It was not as easy for these basic strategy teasers either. I don't really even recommend them too much, though I know some books got hurt on the last 2 years early in the season. So early in the season, I like them at 6-point teasers, but I'm not laying over $1.20 on a 6-point teaser. That's for sure. I mean, like I used to bet even. I had 5 different shops that had even 6-point teasers. They're gone. There is no more of them. So. I look to play with only shops that have good rules too on teasers. So I don't want to have a teaser that lands on the number and it's a push and you're telling me it's a loss. So, or better yet, like let's say you lose one side of the teaser and you push the other side. Well,
that's a push. It should be.
Yeah, you can't have a one-team teaser. So. It just some of the books I don't like, and some of them are friends of mine, and I don't like their rules on teasers. I like to bet a teaser with a book that I know I'm going to be refunded. So,
well, I like how you also mentioned that the score is a little different when you're down by 14. Now with the analytics, people are realizing they go for 2.
Yep.
That's the correct call late, like early in the 4th quarter type situation, late in the 3rd, because that means your next score, you're getting the win, putting the pressure. And if you miss, you can still get the 8. It don't matter. You can still get the 8 and go for 2. So that's a great call. It's an analytics call now.
But everyone
that coaches are figuring out.
Everyone in the sports book curses and yells if the spread's 7. I say, this is fixed. This is why I shouldn't bet. It's fixed. Everyone, when they lose, They never lost because they picked the wrong team. They've lost because it's fixed. It's the biggest three-letter word in the sports books across the country. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 100%. I think there's definitely variance, but nothing is fixed unless you go literally talk to an official that says, I got paid money to fix
now
this.
and it has happened. It's happened in the NBA.
Donahue was years ago, but
they're isolated incidences, and you hear these players get suspended or even get their career shortened because they were betting or something, betting on themselves or betting against themselves. You get isolated incidences. I'm not saying that, but these guys are getting millions of dollars in the NFL. Are they really going to, or even the NBA? I mean, there's this one guy what an idiot. I mean, getting $1 million, $2 million a year. How can you trying to get down a little bit of money on yourself or against yourself? You ruin your whole career. So
they make some dumb choices. But what's funny is that people blame sports. But how do you know he wasn't doing it with Bet Online or some offshore books before? Yeah. You would have never known that. You would. No, it's at least the publicity and the legalization. It shows that they pointed out. It's like, for all you know, this dude's been shading his prop bets for a long time.
They're brittle. They're kids. These are kids that are making these decisions. They don't think anything. It's funny. Today on NFL.com, it came out detail on 2024 NFL gambling policy. And there's like 7 things today. It's on there, what not to do. They're telling the players, like, never bet on the NFL. Don't have someone bet for you. Don't gamble. Don't share inside information. Don't enter a sports book during NFL playoff season. Don't play daily fantasy league. Like, they push this stuff, but yet the same NFL is making billions, because they're revenue sharing with sports books.
Of course, it's such a
talking out of both sides of their mouth.
Hypocrisy. They're hypocrites. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I understand. You do have to have a serious, probably quarter day, half day meeting with every single person on the team. The coaches have to do this. I think that's normal. But they should have been doing this years ago before the legalization, because you can bet with bookies. You can bet anywhere if you just look for it. That's the bottom line. The market's always been there, right? So this type of talk should have happened years ago, in my opinion. But that's a great call. And the NFL shouldn't act like there's such angels in this whole situation, because they're making billions of dollars off it right now. But speaking about making plays, when should bettors make their plays? And maybe more of a basic question for a guy like you, but how do you like to do it? Is it early in the week? Do you have to wait till limits go up for yourself, maybe right before the games? How do you answer that question?
You're going to be betting early in the week. And I don't care about the limits. I mean, you have to have a lot of outs, then a lot of places to bet. If you're going to wait till late in the week when the lines are all ironed out, now there'll be individuals. Listen, every Sunday I'll find something to bet. There's proposition bets, there's player props. Once in a while I'll bet team totals, first half totals, like they're not even up yet, like for NFL, like week 1. So of course I can't bet them. But these lines have been up for months and months, since like May. These lines have been up, so the lines on the games have been up for so many months for week 1, even the college week 1 here. There may not be a lot of plays for week 1 because they've been ironed out. They've been ironed out early. But let's look at like week 2. When will I look? I'll look Monday morning to be giving out stuff, because my stuff moves. So if I'm giving something out, 90 to 95% of the time, my guys are going to get a better line than the closing line. I'm sorry, than what the line is at closing, right? So if I'm giving out something, over 47.5, you can guarantee by kickoff it's going to be 48.5. Nothing crazy. Preseason was moving like 3 points. It's great, 4 points. That's not going to happen during the regular season. But so you want to get in early, even though limits are a little bit softer. You just have to have multiple outs. That's all I can tell you, because if you're not in early, then you might as well. You're gambling. That's what I feel. If you're not in early in the week. If you're not in as soon as the lines come, not the night the lines come out, because then there's only a couple places to have them up. On Monday morning, they start putting things up. Tuesday, Wednesday, when they start putting totals up along with the sides, and that's when you want to bet, or else you're just gambling.
And there's a reason why contest lines come out on Thursday morning, because they want to make sure it's correct, and you're gambling because of the standard juice. Obviously, thank God contests have no juice. Well, some do actually, plenty of rake. Obviously, our certain ones do not. So make sure you look into that as well. Obviously, overlays makes positive EV as well. Well, great stuff on timing. How about NFL Week 1? The line's been out for a while. Like you said, they've moved a little bit. Do you have any best bets or any plays that you'd like to give out here to our listeners for Week 1?
I'm not a best bet guy. I'm not one of those guys that give out locks and best bets. I know what I do year in, year out. I know that I'm thrown out of thousands and thousands of bookmakers over the years for one thing, just using my brain, like I said earlier. So I'm not a guy that goes all in on one bet or bets more than percentage of bankroll on one bet. I'm probably going to look to go over Tennessee, Chicago. This is something for your viewers. Over Tennessee, Chicago first half. I already bet over 44 yesterday, but yeah, I'm looking maybe to go over first half, see if they put under, as long as it's under 23. I don't want 23 is a key number. I don't want 23. I want 22 and a half, 22, something like that. Tennessee, Chicago first half. Looking to bet there. But as far as everything kind of been ironed out here, it's like I said, it's really not fair to give out a certain side or anything like that when I took a better number or had a better number. I just bet anti-Miami. I just bet Miami Dolphins under on their season wins. I went under 10 minus 110 at the Westgate here for a max bet about 30 minutes ago. So season wins. I'll still find a season win here and there. Something I don't like to do. I don't like to bet like futures. So I don't like to bet like, will Dallas Cowboys win the Super Bowl at whatever 10-1? Listen, that market is so brittle. If someone bets, most of the sports books really shouldn't do this, but they do. So they'll take a max bet on, let's say, Dallas, and let's say 10-1. I really don't know what they are, but let's say they're 10-1, or they're probably a little more than that. But all right, so now what happens is the sports book moves that to 8-1. They don't adjust the other market, the other teams. That's really not nice. That's really not right. You have to adjust. So here's what happens. That 25% hold that the house had now went to 32%, or not that high, but 30%. And when the next person bets something max, it goes to 35%. You're talking the futures holds to bet team to win the Super Bowl, team to win. It's like 25 to 50%. I'm not looking to do that. I'm looking to play a sport that's 4.5%, minus 110 both ways. And of course, I don't even have to beat that. 52.38 is the real percent needed to win to make money. 52.38%. Correct. It's much less for a pro. A pro has many different places to bet. I have reduced shoe spots early in the week. I have limits. It's much less than that. Even I will play some futures though, because I have many shops to chase. Circa, you could bet yes, no. I wish everyone had yes, no markets. I could bet yes, no on everyone to win the Super Bowl. I could bet yes, no on everyone to win the golf tournament. The no is the value, not the yes. Everyone bets yes. Who's going to bet no? Who's going to lay all these numbers for the entire weekend or for the entire season? So no is the value. Only one team or one player.
Only one team's going to burn you if they give you proper odds on every no, you bet every one, but minus out the whole, you should be the winner in that situation. Right. If we had a value. No, that's great stuff. Plus, you also got to look for, this Tampa Bay minus 3.5, minus 102 at DraftKings right now. I think that's going down to 3. I'm not going to rush into that, but I'm not believing in the Commanders. I think any teams with new coaches usually falter a little bit in the week 1. I'm not as high on the Commanders as other people are with Daniels. I think he's maybe he's going to turn out, maybe not. I don't know. I know Tampa Bay at least did something last year with Baker Mayfield, and they certainly have a seasoned group of veterans there. So waiting sometimes is the best policy. So that's what I'm. Well, there's some
threes. Yeah, the win is -3, -20. Stations -3, -20. There's a couple of them out there. Pinnacle -3, -23 offshore. The game opened up 4, went down to 3.5. 3.5 dog money. So you may get your wish there.
Yeah, I'll be waiting for my wish, Bill. Well, thank you so much, man, for coming on. Where could our listeners and viewers follow you? Get your great shows, your information, and your media.
At Bill Krackomberger with a K on Twitter. At Crackwins. I have a website and an app. And follow my podcast. And I'm around every week. Just follow my Twitter. You'll follow. You see everything.
Thanks again, Bill. It was an honor having you on.
No problem.